Hello everyone, and as with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this from Mac Attack XRP. Rakuten Wallet expands crypto offering with 5 new coins. XRP trading expected to surge in Japan. So these are the coins they're adding: XRP, Doge, XLM, SHIB, and TON. Trading for these assets will begin after their listings on April 15th. It's nice to see XLM included in there as well. But they're also planning to pay out rewards in XRP also. It's just nonstop expansion for XRP in Japan. And we're going to see more of that throughout the rest of this year. RLUSD will be treated no differently than any other type of deposit. This is coming from the FDIC. So when you put your stable coins into a bank account or you're holding stable coins, they're going to start to offer insurance on those coins. But think about like this. Say you held RLUSD at the bank. What do you plan to get in rewards? Same thing you're going to get on a checking account or a savings account right now. You know, the banks just don't want us to earn off of our own money. However, they like to earn off of your money. That's why they want you to keep depositing it every single week into a checking or savings account. I'm just too lazy. Ripple CTO Schwartz shuts down speculation about a solo XRP ledger project. I remember when this was first being talked about and people were speculating, saying that David Schwartz is creating a better XRP ledger. He's going to create a better version of XRP. You know, every time you see David do something, right away, people speculate this is going to be big. This is going to be the XRP killer. He's going on to build a better XRP. And it's like David is just trying out different things. You know, it's like all along the way as an XRP holder, there was this coin that showed up or that coin that showed up. And every time you turned around, there was a new XRP killer. Where are those coins today? Guess what? They no longer exist, some of them. This comes from Ripple. Africa's digital asset moment is here, and regulation is leading the way. $205 billion plus in on-chain value, 52% year-over-year growth. You take notice how in other countries, because of regulations, they're pushing ahead. Meanwhile, here in the United States, it's like we're still sitting, waiting for them to pass the Clarity Act. We're still waiting for innovation to push forward. Outside of the U.S., nothing is slowing down. It's the same reason I told you the world's a very big place outside of the United States. And if you're banking on just the U.S. to get rich off of your XRP, most likely we're going to see XRP rise in price coming from somewhere else like Japan, South Korea, the EU, possibly Africa as well. You know, here in the U.S., they could drag their feet all they want. The rest of the world is not slowing down. 25% of institutional investors now plan to gain XRP exposure. Remember, everybody was talking about this last week. And they said, well, nobody's going to jump into crypto until we get the Clarity Act passed first. But it goes beyond that. You know, a lot of these institutions, they want to get exposure now. They want to beat everyone else to XRP. They want to get the upper hand on their competition. That's why I think we're going to see a lot more treasuries created around XRP. We're going to see a lot more institutions getting their hands on some XRP even before the Clarity Act gets passed. Right now, I think they're accumulating in the background. And this comes from David Schwartz. The XRP ledger is more than just XRP. There are stablecoins. There will be tokenized real-world assets, loans of all kinds of things. A DEX doesn't work with just one asset. But XRP has a privileged place on the XRP ledger. It's the only asset that any account can receive. It's the only asset without a counterparty. Pathfinding checks for XRP liquidity first. Auto bridging makes offers to and from XRP more likely to be taken. It's the only asset you can pay transaction fees with. The question to ponder is how much value the XRP ledger can generate and to what extent that can turn into XRP value. That's very hard to do, though. For example, it's very hard to know how much of XRP's value today comes from the XRP ledger's value. I think we're going to get a good idea on how that will be reflected in the price of XRP very soon. A lot of people even say the momentum that's happening on the XRP ledger right now is not priced into the price of XRP yet, that's going to reflect very soon. But nobody really knows how tokenization is going to impact the price of XRP. A lot of people are speculating on it still. I know it's going to be big, but how big? That's what it really comes down to. And then you got to start to look at how much XRP is still out there circulating. How much of that XRP is still available for sale? Because a lot of people are locking away their XRP now. You see it leaving the exchanges every single day. I still believe once scarcity shows up, everything's going to change very fast. I think that is going to be the moment when people realize that they should have been buying XRP instead of hating on XRP. They should have been holding their XRP instead of selling their XRP. Chris Perkins, now head of Franklin Crypto on the Clarity Act. Take a listen to this.
Right? Clarity, I personally think there's a very strong likelihood, if you look at prediction markets, they agree with me. I think it's going to happen. But if it doesn't matter, because you have an amazing chairman, Seelig and Atkins, who are giving us the clarity needed for institutions to enter that space. And every day we get more clarity, it allows us to navigate.
So he's saying we don't need the Clarity Act because it's going to happen either way. And he says that the CFTC and the SEC, they're giving the path forward. And I agree with that because right now, I think they're making a lot of rules ahead of the Clarity Act passing anyway, because they want to get everything in place now. So the waiting period later is going to be a lot shorter. In other words, we're not going to have to wait months and months to see these institutions flood into crypto. Amount of XRP needed to reach the top 10% falls, data shows. They're talking about the rich list. They're saying that it now costs $2,888 to get on this list. It used to cost $6,708 to break into the top 10%. But I always told you, ignore the rich list. But some people, they have to be on this list. I see people saying, working on my way to getting on to the XRP rich list. All the time you see people say it. Buy whatever you can afford. Don't overinvest into crypto. If you're overinvested, you're going to lose patience and you're going to end up selling and possibly even selling at a loss. And I know most people are down on their investment right now with XRP. And I know a lot of people even bought above $3. But it doesn't matter. We are going to go so much higher than $3 and change. Everybody out there, every single chart guy right now is calling for at least double digits. $10 plus. Other people are still predicting 3 digits and beyond. But it doesn't matter, because once the institutions get here, everything's going to change. As that money starts pouring into this space, you're going to make money no matter what your entry point is right now, because you still beat them here. That's what matters. That's what matters more than anything else. And for the first time in history, that has happened. People don't realize how big that actually is. It was always retail got access later, and they paid premium prices to get that access. It happens in the stock market all the time. But we're crypto investors. We beat the institutions here, and we're about to capitalize on it in a very big way. This calculator says XRP equals $1,632. But look closer. $19 trillion in flowing daily. XRP locked for 5 days. I don't understand what they meant by XRP locked for 5 days. $30 trillion held in XRP. That's not just usage. That's XRP becoming a global reserve asset. People argue about price. They're not even looking at the variables. I've seen all of these models over time. Robbie Mitchnick, when he created this, that was the bottom price, 1,600 and change. So was he predicting XRP to reach that price point? Or was he saying this is where XRP is going to be priced at very soon? But I've seen so much speculation around this over the years. Now remember, Robbie Mitchnick is now over there at BlackRock. And what's he working on? Same thing Larry Fink is talking about every single time he talks. Tokenization. Tokenization, in my opinion, is going to take XRP so much higher than $1,632. If the World Economic Forum is even close to right, and they're saying 867 trillion by 2030, I would guess that XRP is getting to $10,000 way before we get to 2030, because I believe the XRP ledger is going to capture at least 20% of all tokenization. It was built for tokenization. And then you're going to see the rest of that 867 trillion scattered across the other handful of networks that are also very big when it comes to tokenization. You'll see it happening on Stellar, XDC, Hedera, QNT, IOTA, Algo, ADA. You're going to see a lot of value moving on chain very soon. And as it's happening, the price is going to reflect that happening. It's not going to be like, oh, why is the price of XRP not moving? I think the only reason the price is stuck right now is because they want to hold it down as much as they can so the institutions can enter at low prices on XRP. Honestly, the price seems to be very suppressed in my opinion. Biggest alt season starts soon. HODL and enjoy. We don't know exactly when alt season is going to begin. And honestly, I'm not even hoping for an alt season. I'm hoping for a full-blown utility run. Because once utility starts driving the price of these utility-driven cryptocurrencies, we are not coming down for a very long time. We're going to see up-only price movement for a very long period of time. And it could all start in this year. Think about it. These institutions, they're going to be utilizing XRP. They're not just going to be buying it and holding it like retail does. And they're not going to be selling it just because it hit $100, just because it hit $1,000. They're going to be holding on to it long term and utilizing it for what it was built to do. Institutions are a lot different than retail. And those long periods where XRP's locked away, it's also taken out of circulating supply. Circulating supply. Wow. So think about that. So if they're locking it up long term, scarcity is closer than we think. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.